No one thought much of it when a 52-year-old Ifeanyi Amaduka brought home a damaged deep freezer. To neighbors, it was just a regular used appliance, but little did they know that 2 days later, that same deep freezer would hold one of the most disturbing family tragedies that Enugu has ever witnessed. Inside it, the authorities would discover the bodies of 3 young girls. The incident appeared to fulfill a series of chilling threats that most people saw as empty talks, empty threats, and maybe talks of anger, until it finally unfolded on the 4th of January 2022 in Emene, Enugu State. That morning, Mrs. Millicent Amadukwa was preparing to leave for the market where she sold tomatoes, but before she left, she made sure she left enough food in the house and instructed her eldest daughter, Chidalu, who was 11 years old, to make sure that she washed her siblings' clothes. After they had finished eating that morning, she left for the market with her only son, leaving her 3 daughters, Chidalu, Ebubechukwu, and Amarachi, with their father, Mr. Ifeanyi Amadukwa. To Mrs. Millicent, it felt like an ordinary day, but little did she know that that day was going to haunt her for the rest of her life. When she came back home from the market, she immediately felt that something was definitely wrong, because usually when she comes back from the market, on hearing her voice, her children would rush to the gate to hug her and to welcome her. But then, even after she shouted the children's name, she didn't see any of the children. Like, there was no sign of the children in the house. She got into the compound, still no sign of her children. At that point, she became worried and knew that something was wrong. When she entered into the compound, she met her husband seated at the veranda, mending a pair of trousers. When she approached him, she asked him where her children were, but his response shocked her. He said, "I don't know." And then, confused, she decided to leave him and go in search of her children. She looked for them everywhere she knew that they usually went, but then she couldn't find any of them. She searched and searched that she began panicking. She came back to the husband and then asked him again, "Where are my children?" His response again shocked her. He asked her, "Do you think I will sell them? Like, do you think I am capable of selling your children?" And then she responded back to him, "Yes, is there anything you cannot do?" But then, still confused, she kept on searching for her children. It was already late, and she came back home after searching for her children in the church and other places where she thought the children might have gone to. She immediately called her elder sister. The response of the elder sister made sense, because the sister told her that if the husband was acting like he didn't care and knowing fully well that she left the children in his care, that means the husband should know something about the children's disappearance. And Mrs. Millicent thought as much, because she knew that she left her children with the husband, but what she didn't know was where her children went. It was late already, and Mrs. Millicent was preparing to eat the food that her daughters had prepared earlier when Mr. Amadikwa went straight to that deep freezer that he bought earlier and told her, "Come and see where your children are." Immediately, she stood up and rushed to the deep freezer, and what she saw would haunt her for the rest of her life. Inside were the bodies of her 3 daughters, the 11-year-old Chidalu, whose body was laid on top of her younger ones, Amarachi and Ebubechukwu. They were unresponsive, and black liquid were reportedly coming out from their mouths. Out of panic, she desperately tried to revive them, but all to no avail. She then started crying out loud, and when the neighbors heard her cry, they immediately rushed to the scene. After the whole thing, they took the children to the hospital to see if there's anything the doctors can do to revive them. But unfortunately, the doctors confirmed that they were unalive. At the hospital there, the doctors noticed a foul odor. They noticed an odor of a chemical coming from the children's body and the father's body as well. When they asked the father what chemical that was, the father said that it was the chemical he used in treating water in a well. But Millicent was not satisfied with her husband's response. She knew something was up. She felt like maybe he had poisoned her children or something else. Definitely not a chemical that was used in, treating a well or whatever. When the police was later involved, they asked Millicent who she suspected, and she simply said it was her husband. The husband was taken into custody and investigation started. The police opted for an autopsy to be done on the children for them to know what exactly happened to the children. But Mrs. Millicent couldn't afford it. Mrs. Millicent reportedly said that there was a time that the man told her that he would take the lives of her children and no one would do anything about it because they were poor and powerless. According to Mrs. Millicent, she said that her husband came back from Dubai 2 years earlier, and since he came back, he has been acting aggressive towards them, and usually he didn't contribute to the things in the family, to the children's school fees and the food and other things. Like, her marriage has been a hell, and according to her, she said she has tried leaving the marriage countless times, but he would ask her not to leave, and the neighbors, everybody will plead on his behalf. But it seems like the threat has been going on for a long time, and according to Miss Millicent, she said that if she had known, she would have acted on time. Maybe she would have listened or maybe pay attention to those threats. Maybe her children would have been alive by now. Although there had been signs that Mr. Amadi was feeling insecure because he had reported his wife to his relatives some time ago, telling them that his wife was being unfaithful to him. Mrs. Millicent had a child before they got married. She had a child with another man before she got married to this man, Mr. Amadi. They now later had 3 children. So it seems like it was the misunderstanding, or maybe because he was feeling insecure, that made him carry out the act. Right now, it has not been disclosed whether the man has been imprisoned or not, but currently he is in police custody.